guys, welcome back. First things first, you may have noticed, yes, I am wearing a beanie. I know. Round of applause, truly, because I wore a beanie once when I was like 12, I think, and someone made fun of me for it, and so I just like never wore beanies again. But I always see cute little girlies out there with their hats and their beanies, and I always think, why can't that be me? So I got on and I got myself a little beanie, and here we are. And mixed reviews. Of the 4 people I've talked to so far, beanies, 2 of them think beanies cute, 2 of them said I look like a robber. So, could go either way. But one thing I will say, I went outside, my ears are so warm, my head is so warm, I felt so cozy. I just think, honestly, kind of a vibe, kind of living for it. So that's my announcement, is that I have invested in a beanie, and I think I will be wearing said beanie for, the foreseeable future. Not every day, obviously, but like today, when I didn't want to wash my hair or style my bangs, I was like, beanie. Blew my mind. And also I feel like a few weeks ago I said, oh, hats don't fit my head. And I've usually felt that way about beanies, is that either they just like look really weird on me or they're like alarmingly big and they just look insane. But this beanie fits me. And so, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Speaking of being wrong, I have a confession to make. And I feel like this is embarrassing for me, to be completely honest, but it would be rather remiss of me not to tell you what happened to me this morning, considering that, for context, a few weeks ago, I said, I don't know like verbatim what I said, but I do know that the essence was, I hate it when people stand around in the gym and talk and take up equipment. That's what I said. Something to that, like, I think I even said something like, the gym is not social hour to me. You would not catch me doing that. Like, I think I even said something like that. So, a bit of a confession. This morning, I ended up in a conversation with a girl who goes to my gym, who I've, talked to off and on before, but we had like a full-blown conversation this time. And I did not realize how long we'd been standing there talking. And this is probably going to piss people off who felt the way I did about talking in the gym. And there are 2 leg presses next to each other. That's it, just 2 in the gym, which I feel rather lucky. This is a bit of a tangent, but I feel rather lucky about our gym situation because of that. Because I feel like most gyms only have 1 leg press, and waiting for that thing is terrible. I get it. I want to preface this with, I get it. Okay. I was a social gym hater. I get it. Anyway, I'm standing there talking to this girl, whatever, just started a conversation. In my head, though, I was like, maybe I'm making friends. Remember when I said it's embarrassing to make friends? I'm kind of doing it. So, I was kind of proud of myself, but I did not realize how long we'd been standing there. Granted, I don't think it was like an annoyingly long time necessarily, but it probably was like 15 minutes or so. And it's kind of a long time if you're waiting for the leg press. There are 2 of them. I was on one of them talking to this girl. And anyway, guy comes up to us mid-conversation and says, hey, how many sets you have left? And I was like, oh, damn, I'm so sorry. Like, probably 2. Like, let me just bust out 2 sets real quick. You can have it. And he was like, yeah, you guys have been talking for a while. And immediately the girl and I turned to each other like we'd been caught. And we were like, damn. And I think she even said, like, oh, people are mad at us. I gotta go. And I was like, that's so relatable. Because in that moment, I was like, someone's mad at me. But also, let's be real. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But I would be remiss of me not to talk about being a little bit of a hypocrite. Because in that moment, I'd become the thing I hated. And so, you know what? I get it. And even to that guy, like, he's braver than me because I would not go up to, I just stand there and wait until the machine that I want is done or move on and do something else. He's braver than me. I would never have done that. But I also get it. Like, no fault to that guy because I totally get it. I have been him. I have been there sitting, watching people talking, going, you're not even working out. Like, what are you doing? So, you know, a little bit of humble pie, I feel like. And maybe I needed it. But also at the same time, goods and bads because I made a friend. So, you know what? I may have been embarrassed for just a week. I was embarrassed for probably half a second before I just went, what are you going to do? Whatever. I mean, it's fine. I don't really care. But then as I've been thinking about it, I've just been like, yeah, like little bit of a hypocrite on my end to say that I hate people talking and taking up gym equipment and not using it. And then, you know, doing it myself truly on accident. Did not realize how long we'd been standing there talking. But still, either way, I was at fault. Like, I totally get that. And kudos to the guy for saying something because I never would have. I'm just too shy for that. I'm not brave enough to be like, hey guys, you know you've been yapping. You guys are fucking yapping over here and I want the thing you have. Anyway, I just felt like I had to confess that. Like, I just felt like I had to tell someone. And who better to tell than you guys, truly. Also, I've been holding that in all day. That happened this morning. And I was like, I gotta say this for the podcast. I can't tell anyone. I can't talk about it. I can't tell anyone. I gotta say this for the podcast because you know what? They need to know. And I would be, I think, a failure of not only a creator, but also a person if I didn't admit my own mistakes. So here I am. I'm letting you know. I became the thing I hated today. And honestly, it was kind of chill. It was kind of fun to have someone to talk to for a change. But, like, you know what? It's whatever. It is what it is, and life goes on. So, shout out to that guy. I get it. I think I even told him, I don't know if I brought this up yet, but I think I even told him, I get it. Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. There are only two of them. Someone else is using the other one. I'm just standing here talking. Like, I get it. Anyway. So, that was just my little confession because I felt like you guys needed to know. And truly, who else was I going to tell? So, anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is not like, honestly, maybe I'm just in a storytelling mood today because this is not like a big deal, but because we know that we joke about like Karens, right? I have never seen like a true, genuine, full-blown Karen situation in public until a couple weeks ago. I was at the fabric store picking up something for my mom, and you have to like stand at the counter waiting to get your fabric cut. And this lady had cut quite a bit of like, she had quite a bit of like bolts of fabric with her getting stuff cut. As she's done, she like walks around the table and just starts looking at the fabric bolts that need to be like put away. They've got like whole piles of them back there that need to be like put away from people cutting them or whatever. And she just walks back there and is like digging through that. And the employee's like, ma'am, like you can't be back here. It's store policy. You can't like, you know, like anything you want, let me hand it to you. And the woman was like, I have been going behind the counter for 10 years. They have always let me go behind the counter. No one's ever said I couldn't do it. They've always said it was totally fine. I've been doing it for 10 years. She just kept saying that over again. I've been doing it for 10 years. And just kept, as she's like having this rant, she's like, just keeps going through the fabric, whatever. And the employee, I had been this employee. I felt so bad for her. She just was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to call my manager real quick and, you know, talk to her because it is against store policy. We're not supposed to let you do that. And she was like, again, I have been doing this for 10 years. Who are you to tell me that I can't do this? They've always let me do this, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I can't believe I'm witnessing this in 2024 in real life. This is crazy. And so the employee gets on her little, you know, ear walkie-talkie And which best part about working retail, by the way, is having those little ear walkie-talkies. They're so fun. Anyway, she gets on. She's like, "Hey, there's a lady here trying to, look behind the thing. I've told her it's against like store policy. What do you want me to do?" And she's like, again, as she's talking to her manager, the lady goes, "I've been doing this for 10 years. Who are you to tell me I can't do it anymore?" And I honestly felt really bad for the employee because the manager comes back and says, "Oh, let her do it. It's fine. Just let her do it." And I was like, damn, you're not even going to stand up for your employee and like be a leader and a manager and enforce your store policies? That's so crazy. What? What? That's crazy. So yeah, so the girl had to be like, "Okay, well, the manager says it's fine, even though we're not supposed to let you do that." Like, it's so embarrassing to be that employee where you're like not backed up in front of a customer, like your manager just like lets the customer get away with whatever they want. I felt so bad. But yeah, in that moment I was like, this is a Karen situation I am watching unfold in real time. And I've never, like, aside from little things here and there, which, like, don't even come to mind, I've never seen a full-blown, like, Karen moment where she's just, like, back there yelling, "Who are you to tell me I can't do this? I've been doing this for 10 years. They've always let me do blah, blah, blah." Like, I was, like, in shock. Truly. I was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, I'm like, girl, for real, because she's holding up the line, because then the employee has to deal with her back there, like, in the fabric when she's trying to, like, cut the fabric and stuff. And I was just like, girl, be so fucking for real. Be so fucking for real right now. Not only is it the holidays, like, the busiest time possible to be making a scene in a store, but, like, you're gonna do it when there are 10 people in line waiting for their fabric to be cut? Oh, the audacity. The audacity truly blew my mind. I was like, girl, be so fucking for real. Be so fucking for real. Anyway, I just like, I don't know. I just like, of course you see them on the internet. You see videos of people being Karens or whatever. But to see it with your own eyes, to witness it with your own eyes is like such a totally different experience. And I don't think I could ever, maybe again, I'm too shy and awkward and anxious or whatever, but the idea of just walking behind the counter at like a store or whatever is just crazy to me. Like, it's just insane. We used to have this problem when I worked at Vans because people would just do the most insane shit you've ever seen in your life. Like, walk into the back of the storeroom and, like, you'd be back there and all of a sudden a customer would be there and you'd be like, "Hey, what's going on? Do I know you? What are you doing back here?" Crazy. I just don't get it. I don't understand the audacity, truly. And especially to these people making, like, minimum wage to, like, work their retail jobs. Come on. Why are we acting like this? Why are we acting like they owe you the world? I do not understand that. And actually, I feel like if I go out with someone, like, just, like, we're out together doing something and they're mean to a retail worker or, like, a server or anything else, immediately we're not friends anymore because I'm like, ugh. That's so crazy. You couldn't just be like a decent human being for 5 minutes while they served you their food while it's peak lunch hours, super busy, and you couldn't just be like, "Hey, no problem, I get it, like, take your time." Really? Anyway, that's a pet peeve of mine, I think. Big pet peeve is being mean to service workers of any kind. Anyway, I think actually, you know what? That's a good transition because there was something else I wanted to talk about. Kind of to the same, like, the same point almost. But I don't know when my camera's going to run out. I think I have like 5 more minutes. I don't know. I'm going to just keep going. So The other thing I wanted to talk about leads me to my next point, which is that I think social media not only makes us really judgmental as people, but I also think it makes us believe that other people are more judgmental like than they are. Because, for example, let's use TikTok, because I feel like TikTok is kind of accessible for this. Like, they're kind of, you scroll through TikTok comments and people are going to be negative for no reason. So, like, the most benign videos, you'll scroll through the comments and it'll be things like, oh girl, that hair color is so bad on you. You need to dye your hair, blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh, why did you do that with your rug? It's so ugly, blah, blah, blah. And I just think that is stuff that you probably would not tell another human being face to face. But because you can hide behind not only a screen, but also this idea of being like, oh, it's constructive criticism, I'm being helpful. You say stuff to people on the internet that is just so wildly judgmental and not your place, that as you scroll through and read these comments from people, it makes you assume that people in real life are going to be that to you. Like, it makes you assume that people in real life are going to constantly judge you the way that they do on social media. And it's a fascinating, like, phenomenon, I think, but it really annoys me. It really sincerely bothers me. I hate scrolling through. There was like, let me give you a really good example. There was this sweet woman who was doing one of those like angel trees, which I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're like where you pick a name off a tree and it tells you like the age and the name. It's for kids, and you go and you buy their Christmas presents based on what they ask for or what they want. And it's for kids in need. A lot of times it's for kids in foster care, for kids whose parents can't afford it, whatever it is. And she did this really sweet video about how she was like, I have no money. We're barely making it to Christmas, but I wanted to give back and do this. I've always wanted to do this. It means a lot to me. And so she picked a name off a tree for a young girl, like 12 years old, who only wanted and asked for like hygiene products. And people in the comments were really going in on this woman for not giving her more. And to be completely fair to this woman, she had given like over $200 worth of things to this girl, and not all of them were hygiene things, but she'd spent a considerable amount of money, especially for anyone who knows like how much hygiene products are. Even just things like body wash and hair care and whatever, that's expensive. It's expensive for full-grown adults who make their own money. So for this woman who put in a lot of effort trying to do something nice, got the things that the kid asked for, the girl asked for on the list, plus other things like a coloring book, some craft stuff, like a squishmallow. Like, she kind of went above and beyond what she could afford in her means. And the comments were really, really negative, talking about how she should have done more and how she should have I don't know, like gotten really expensive things for the girl. And I just think that's crazy. I just think that's crazy to look down on another person who's doing something good and bringing like a quote unquote constructive criticism to it that's not necessary. Because it's one thing if she pulled a name off the tree for things that the kid wanted and she clearly like could not afford it. But she pulled a name off the tree for something that was very doable for her. She pulled a name for things that she could afford to give to this kid and then went above and beyond that. So I think the infestation of giving criticism to strangers on the internet is a problem. I think it's a genuine like societal issue we faced. And I think it's always been an issue, but I think with TikTok in particular, the sheer amount of content we consume each day, and then the sheer amount of content we put out via sharing those things and commenting on those things and liking those things and whatever it is, has just grown exponentially, and it's just gotten to a proportion that is so insane and unlike anything we've ever experienced before. And with that, the rise in it's okay to tell strangers what I think of them, even though they don't ask for my opinion, has grown with it, right? And so I think it's contributed a lot to myself, just my own experiences with social media and with posting things and with streaming and whatever, where people come in and they tell you things about yourself that they would never say to you face to face. And it makes you, when you get out into the real world and you interact with people in the real world, it gives you this assumption that real life people who are not chronically online, even those who are chronically online, but real life people in real life, face to face, standing face to face with you, are going to be mean and judgmental and unkind, when I don't think that's true necessarily. I like to think the majority of people you interact with every day are either not brave enough to say the same stuff to you in person that they would say online, or they just flat out don't think that way. They just flat out would never think that way about a stranger or say those things to a stranger, even to people they know really, really well. They may not be willing to say those things, or they might say them in a much nicer way. The thing that comes to mind for me, another example, is, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this, and I don't know the creator, like I don't know the creator of the last one, but it was a woman who posted a video about something unrelated to her makeup. And all of the comments were things like, "Wow, girl, you got blush blindness. That blush is crazy. That blush is not for you. That blush looks so bad, blah, blah, blah." Her entire comments on those video, for the most part, were about how bad her blush was. And she had to make a separate video basically saying, like, hey guys, it's okay for people to experiment and for you not to like it. But it's also, okay for me to do the things I like that, other people don't like. And you just hounding me, telling me how bad my makeup looks isn't constructive. Like, it doesn't really do anything other than make me feel self-conscious for experimenting and trying something new. And also, her blush did not look bad. I think it was very trendy for a lot of people who love blush and wear a lot of blush, and that is their style. But I felt really bad for her. Like, I felt really bad for this trap that we fall into of, oh, because they posted on the internet, I have a right to comment on whatever I want. I have a right to say things to them and go unpunished because they put it on the internet. Why shouldn't I be able to say something about it? And while actually that is true, you do have a right to say whatever you want on the internet. And I'm not arguing that because I do think that's true. I just think that we fall into this trap of believing that because you go unpunished and because you hide behind a screen, you can, it's okay to say whatever you want. And while I'm not arguing your right to do that, I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's okay for you to go into the comment sections of everyone's videos and tell them what you dislike about them. I just think that's terrible. And I think it really shows a progress in our society that isn't positive. Just this idea of a constant negativity about absolutely everything you do on the internet. And it bleeds over into real life, again, because you expect people in real life to be super judgmental of you the way that they are of you on the internet. Not saying things face to face that we are willing to say online. There's actually a philosophy about this, and I wanted to share it because when I was in my undergrad, I did a research project that ended up getting presented at a conference on this idea of having a moral responsibility to people when you're face to face with them. So Emmanuel Levinas is the philosopher, and his philosophy is of this face-to-face encounter, or I think he also calls it the philosophy of the face. And it's this idea that when you are face-to-face with a person, two human beings are in the presence of one another, we feel a moral obligation to them, whatever that might be. And so in that sense, when you're face to face with someone, it feels so much worse to say, the critical and judgmental things you're thinking, because this is a real human being. They have become humanized to you in person, in a 3D setting, in real life, standing face to face with you. Whereas online, you lose that connection. People are not humanized to you online. Yes, they're people, and logically we know they're people, but our brain doesn't view them as people, if that makes sense. And so the things you are willing to say to someone over a screen, you wouldn't say, because when you get in person, you realize, oh, if I say this, I'm going to hurt their feelings. But when they're on a screen and you're watching a video of them or a picture of them or whatever it is, you don't feel that, because that's not a human to you. That is a social media whatever. That is media. It isn't humanity. And so I think that is such a fascinating concept of just this idea that there is a difference to us and to our brains when we're in person versus when we're online. And Levinas describes this as, he says the human face orders and ordains us, basically puts us in our place. When we see people face to face, it puts us back in our, I have to consider this person's feelings. I have to consider, what this will mean to them if I say this. And you lose that online because you see such a small snippet of a person you may or may not know in real life. And you just lose that humanity. You lose that, I need to be kind. I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. That would make me feel really bad. So fascinating stuff, interesting stuff. That's kind of a rant. That was kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like I really had my thoughts in order, but it's been on my mind a lot. Just this idea that the judgment we give online is not the same judgment we give or receive in person. It just isn't. So things to think about. Let me know your thoughts. I would be very curious if other people have noticed this as well. But I think it makes us going from chronically online to having conversations in person. There's a disconnect there. And I think it makes forming relationships in person that much more difficult. When I talked a few weeks ago about the struggle of making friends, part of that struggle is a fear of being judged. It's a fear of people not liking you. And I think it's exacerbated a lot by how much time we spend on social media. Not only the idea of, they'll talk about FOMO and feeling like other people are living a better life than you and the grass is green on other sides. And yes, that is a big problem that contributes to, mental health and whatever else. But the other problem is that you're constantly inundated with negativity, and you're constantly inundated with receiving comments that are just negative and critical and, uncalled for. And you get into real life and you carry those with you. I feel like it's impossible not to carry those with you. It was impossible for me not to take the things that people said to me on stream and carry them around with me. It would be a perfectly normal stream, and all of a sudden I would get 5 or 6 people in there telling me that I look like a prostitute, telling me that that I'm ugly, that I should kill myself. And it's really, really hard not to carry that with you to the outside world and to assume that, oh, well, does everyone, in my real life think that about me? Does everyone in my real life think that I'm annoying and ugly and I should kill myself? And so I don't know. I just think that we as a society have really gone off the rails with how comfortable we are online, truly. I think we are just so comfortable giving opinion regardless of whether or not we have, an education or a background or knowledge to back that opinion up, we just give opinion. And so, I don't know. I just think that's a thing to be aware of, truly, in the same way that we should be aware of how sites like TikTok are designed to make you waste time. They just are. And there's research that shows that. And we should be aware of that. You should be aware of that if you spend time on social media, that they are designed to make you waste time. And a lot of sites like Instagram and Facebook and whatever else really do nothing to help the mental health crisis that surrounds the idea of not living up to a perfected ideal. This idea that, I see all these people on social media living their lives and living like the best lives. Why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? I see all these people on TikTok who have gained a popularity and make $10,000 a month doing TikTok. Why am I not interesting enough to do that? How come when I post a video, people say, interesting brow choice, or you say like too much, or whatever else? Because yes, those are real things people have said to me. But anyway, I just think if you're going to be on social media, you should be aware of it. And you should be aware of how the impact it has on your mental health and the way that face-to-face interaction is different from social media. And inherently, it is different from social media. And that's not to say that social media isn't a fantastic way to connect with people, because obviously it is. I'm sitting here right now making a video and a podcast to go on social media. That's like in 2024, a lot of our lives are just revolving around social media. And that's just the way it is. But at the same time, it's okay to acknowledge the good while also being wary of the bad, because there is bad in it. And you would be remiss if you spend a lot of time on social media not to acknowledge the bad, the way it makes you think about other people, the way it makes you comment about other people, the way it makes you view like life in general and your life in comparison to other people's lives. So anyway, again, a wee bit of a tangent. I just think that people who post things and they aren't hurting anyone, and you want to give quote unquote constructive criticism because you feel it's your right to let them know they're doing something wrong, I disagree with you. I think you're wrong. And I should say as a disclaimer, this does not apply to someone posts something on the internet and they are clearly doing something unethical, something wrong, something that violates, human rights, violates another person, whatever it is. Clearly, we should not be supporting that. Clearly, we should be calling out. That is not the same thing as hounding a girl who experimented with her blush a little bit too much and telling her that she looks terrible because of her blush. That's not the same thing. And I think a good example of this is that TikTok right now is really up in arms against, I think her name's Nurse Hannah. I don't know who it is, but she's clearly abusing her children. And that's, from evidence of videos she's posted online, is clearly neglecting and abusing her children, from what we can tell as outsiders looking at her videos. And Child Protective Services have been called and are investigating that situation. And in that moment, yes, tell them that they're abusing their kids, and we don't support that. Absolutely. Again, though, that is not the same thing as, wow, you're ugly, you should kill yourself. It's not the same thing. It's standing up for other people who can't stand up for themselves, always a good thing to do. Always okay, always a good thing. Giving quote-unquote constructive criticism just for the sake of telling someone when you think that they deserve to know, even if it's not your place to say that, I think is not okay, personally. So, I just think, and call me, this is in my notes because I know people are going to say this. Call me sensitive. Call me a snowflake. I don't care. having been on the receiving end of people who think they have a right to be negative towards me, they have a right to criticize me for things that aren't their place, I don't care. You know, I if this makes me a snowflake telling you that you should be a kinder person in general and on the internet, it is what it is. Because, like, at the end of the day, I'm not the one who's bullying strangers on the internet. Like, my life is not miserable enough for that. At the end of the day, I'm not the one going and seeking out people to spread a negative message that I don't believe in. So, anyway, I just think, again, social media is filled with just unnecessary hostility. I think it's filled with unnecessary negativity. And I do think there is a way to give actual constructive criticism. Not this pretend constructive criticism where you're being judgmental and calling it constructive. There is a way to say, and I've seen these, because these, I would say, are positive comments on people's, videos or posts or whatever. Things like, hey, I think that color's beautiful on you. I think with your face shape or whatever, it might look better if you do just a little bit less or a little higher. That is okay. That is, hey, I'm genuinely trying to help you. Don't take this the wrong way. Like, I'm genuinely trying to help you. And not just, wow, you look terrible. That looks awful on you. Don't wear that. That looks awful on you. And I think anyone who grew up surrounded by people who felt like it was their right to, like, criticize you in any way are more sensitive to that. I feel that way. I feel like I'm more sensitive to that. Anyway. I just think there's a way to be constructive. There's a way to give criticism about something without tearing another person down. And I think being a good person literally costs you nothing. And it's literally free to be kind. And it's literally, like, again, you want to be a bully on the internet? That is your right. And I'm not telling you it's not. You have the ability to do that. You have the freedom to do that. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you that I think you're wrong. Flat out, I think you're wrong. So, anyway, this got a little heated. This got a little spicy. Wow, I feel a little awkward because people are going to see this and they're going to know my opinions on things. If you're going to leave a comment, be constructive. And if it's going to be a comment about my hat, just don't say anything at all. Unless it's nice. I'm just kidding. I'm completely kidding. Please let me know what you think of my hat. Maybe I'll do a poll. Do I look like a robber or do I look cute? Robber, cute. And you can let me know. But, yeah, this got a little heated. I kind of ran away with the narrative a wee bit. But, yeah, that's what's been on my mind, and I thought you ought to know. So, I don't know. I feel weird kind of ending on that note where I came out really swinging for the fences, truly. And then just to be like, okay, guys, that's it, guys. So, I don't really know what else to say other than thanks for listening. Let me know if you agree or disagree or whatever else, because I am curious. I am curious if I'm the only one who's noticed this, if I'm the only one who's come to this conclusion, because I'm sure it's not an original thought, but, I thought, and I also spiced it up a little bit. I thought I ought to spice it up with some actual research, some philosophy, if you will, which a big fan of Levinas. I have been a big fan of Levinas since years now. It's been years since I've been in my undergrad, but since I've done this research. But I think he has a lot of really, really good ideas, and his idea of this face-to-face moral dilemma it's always stuck with me, and I've brought it up for a lot of things, but in particular, this idea of screens being different from being in person is just so applicable to us in this day and age, and will, I think, continue to be applicable to us as we move forward. And I think an added layer of that is like celebrities and like parasocial relationships and stuff. Because I think this might be a topic for another time. I'll give you the Sparks notes are just, the one that comes to mind is the people who made AI, and it wasn't porn, but it was AI like scandalous pictures of Taylor Swift. And well, she's a public figure and she should expect, no. You were in the wrong for doing that. And that is a violation. And first of all, you're a terrible person if you would do that to someone you know in real life. But even to just go as far as to be like, oh, well, she's a celebrity, she should have expected that, is crazy. That's crazy. So anyway, I said I wasn't going to leave on a heavy note, but what are you going to do? I got to get to stream, and I have a chocolate milk in the fridge that I really want to drink. So I guess that's it, guys. I'm going to try to have something funnier next week. I feel like I gotta split up the funny with the heavy stuff, because if I don't, then it's just like, hey guys, I thought of this thing and it's revolutionary and it's also a really heavy topic. And I don't think you want to hear that every single Tuesday from me, but food for thought. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Bye. See you next week.